And what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Eagles Top Podcast, where we talk all things Eagles football, post-game coverages, you name it, we got it. But before we get into it, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, guys, you're new. But yeah, good. Well, it's Monday night. It's primetime football, motherfuckers. But
Monday Night Football is here. It is here. We've got a doubleheader tonight. I think there's another game at like 7:30.
You have the Bills and Titans. It's another primetime game.
But our game, the Eagles versus the Vikings, Monday Night Football, live on ABC. So every single person's going to be watching it. Even people who don't even have cable, they're watching this. They're keeping a close eye on the Eagles, on the Vikings. So what are your keys to the game?
Obviously, just limit the run game. I mean, that's something that I think, try to limit what Dalvin Cook can do. Try to at least do it. Don't start RQ. You guys got lucky. Lucky.
Rob and Tyler ready to lose. No. No, we're not ready. We're not losing this game.
For those who don't know,
to burst your bubble.
But for those who don't know, this is an NFC Championship rematch back in 2017, and when we absolutely dismantled, we spanked them.
You fucked
the Rocky statue. Yeah,
we beat them down, and then we kicked them out. They were down.
Exactly. I mean, that's what happens when you disrespect the Rocky statue in Philadelphia.
You disrespected the city. You disrespected Rocky. I know he's a fictional character. He's not real. But when you disrespect Rocky in Philly, it's on.
Oh yeah, and the scoreboard did not lie, 38-7. But my other keys to the game is just try to lock down Justin Jefferson. Let's be real. Dude, the kid's is spectacular to watch. Whether you like him or hate the kid. Well, I mean, him and Jamar. Let's be real. I think him and Jamar Chase are pretty much going to be the faces of when it comes to the wide receiver class. Because let's be real, though, what Justin Jefferson brings, it's been a while. I mean, let's be real. I mean, the Vikings have not seen that kind of production out of wide receivers since the days of Randy Moss, give or take.
Yeah,
God,
they haven't.
Goddamn,
they haven't seen a guy who plays at the same level as Justin Jefferson since Randy Moss in the late 90s, 98, 99, 2000.
Yeah, it's
like they haven't seen anybody since Randy Moss that played with that level of talent at wide receiver.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that, and this is the thing too with Justin Jefferson too, a lot of, because we all know that Randy Moss was a deep threat for Minnesota, from what we know, but Justin Jefferson, despite he has like the similar skill set to Randy Moss, but the difference is,
I'm sorry, my mom just distracted me.
Oh God.
She literally stopped. She toots, and then she looks at me and goes, did a Mandy, because my dog is named Mandy, and she does that. She stops right in front of my door, toots, and then walks. Mom did that. She goes, I did a Mandy, and walks.
But other than that too, Justin Jefferson also can get you the 50-50 ball because he's got the height to do that, which is something I feel like Randy Moss never had.
No, here's the thing. Randy Moss was the king of 50-50 balls. Because he would jump up and get it.
I mean,
even if there was coverage on him, he jumped
you got
up
Moss.
and get it. And
a lot of
Moss.
Which is like a huge thing on ESPN site, or like you see like either, but
it's ESPN. It's you got Moss and come on, man.
Yeah,
two of the funniest segments on the pregame show. Come on, man.
But like other things, like I said, limit the run game.
The come on, man for ESPN reminds me of Shaq in the Fool, but for football.
Oh God, yeah, that is absolutely true. But my thing is, the only two keys for me, well, actually making three, actually. Obviously, limit the run game by the Minnesota. Make sure you lock down Justin Jefferson. I think Slay or Bradbury should not have any problems with that. Also try to be more creative with some of your plays and stop with the prevent defensive scheme. Like, come on now, that shit doesn't fucking work nowadays.
For me though, I feel like I was looking at game highlights from last week against the Lions. their pass defense wasn't that bad
No,
at all.
it's
It wasn't the pass defense that was the problem. And the thing is, they didn't. I don't even think they had like one passing touchdown. They were all runs.
yet.
I don't think.
If you really think about it, there was like no
They were. It was basically all runs. The passing, we had them on lockdown. Which
pretty
I'm
much.
happy that Gannon, beefed up that side
But
of his coaching. But the run game and the tackling was just
good
so
God,
bad.
yeah,
And the thing is, my keys to the game, since we're segueing, tackle better. For one,
exactly.
even if a play gets burnt and you have to tackle the guy after the play,
That's so be it.
Tackle him. Don't miss the tackles.
And there's another thing too. Don't limit Jordan Davis to 20+ snaps. Let the kid eat. And we got a special guest. We got a special guest coming up in here.
Hold on though. Yo, Dante, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Y'all know the fun starts when the coach come in the stream. Y'all already know.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I couldn't want any less because you bring in the ratings. So I wouldn't want any less, brother.
Hey, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help y'all grow, man, and be on y'all side. I want to elaborate.
I'm loving. Yeah. I'm loving that you're repping your team that won the division. So hell yeah.
Yeah,
you
man.
won the division.
Just that offense got to get going, man. That defense is very good. It's on par. But I want to elaborate what you said. Like Jonathan Gannon got those guys in the right situation. When you are out there missing tackles in the run game, that is not coaching. That is the players out there not executing, missing tackles. So last week, you got to give Jonathan Gannon a pass for the guys out there missing tackles and not tackling right. And tonight, if that happens again, now you got to start to question Jonathan Gannon. If Dalvin Cook can go off like that, and if Justin Jefferson can have the game he had last weekend, which I don't think he would, I think he's still going to have a solid game. You got to question Jonathan Gannon. Now that's when the question starts to come on Jonathan Gannon. But last week I gave him a pass. If those guys cannot get up there and tackle DeAndre Swift, who was really good and who was helping me out in fantasy a lot, then that's on the players. The players got to tackle better.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that I gave them a pass to, because Swift is a crafty guy. So he's gonna be hard to tackle, even for the good teams.
If you really to look at last year too, like he was a bit of a pain in the ass to tackle too last year. Like we gave up some decent yardage to him, but not to the effect where we gave up almost 150 yards just on him alone.
But you got to think about it too. Yeah, he's hard to tackle. So I get that. That's why I'm also giving Gannon a pass on the run defense and the tackling. If it continues tonight, like Coach has just said, the question marks are going to arise on Gannon with the run defense.
Like, is he really the guy to really call this deep? Because let's be real, it's been years since we had a solid defensive coordinator since the days of Jim Johnson. I know other Eagles fans might say otherwise too, see the defenses of the past. But from what we remember is the Jim Johnson defense. Jim Johnson brought what defense is advertised. The
80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, the Eagles defense top notch.
That was
all three eras. But then when we get to the 2010s, we go. I hate to bring up this name, Billy Davis.
Oh God, I haven't heard that name. Oh, good Lord, I have not heard that name. I have not heard that name in years.
And then Jim Schwartz had that one good year with Philly.
Yeah.
That got us to the Super Bowl, and then he plummeted because his defensive scheme. People were starting to, exploit it more. And then we go into the day of. Then we go into Jonathan Gannon last year, which wasn't great at all.
Yeah.
He let a team blow us out of the playoffs last year. Every single drive was a touchdown.
Pretty much.
Which sucked. But this year he had a good pass defense, like I said. Really good pass defense.
Because there's some defensive it's really looking at it, it's like, some defensive coordinators have their strengths. Like
they do. They do, and they also have their weaknesses. Because but here's the thing though. Not a lot of these teams I mean, a lot of teams now are pass first anyway because the league is pass first.
Pretty much.
But they're also running some too because you still have elusive backs in the league.
Yeah, because like
And
now
you have to exploit the run defense.
because like you can
But
stop
also,
a power.
but also, I love. But hold on. But also, I love the fact that he was blitzing last game. He was on certain plays. He was blitzing more.
And he's got to do because I think look, Gannon may not be well liked, but I feel like he has certain tendencies where we've seen what this defense can do.
Also, I'm going to speak to Philly fans who are calling for Gannon's head right now after week 1. Pump the brakes.
Absolutely, pump the goddamn brakes.
But here's the thing: they're also doing the same thing for Philly, and I'm doing for the Phillies, and I'm doing the same thing too. Oh, they're plummeting out of the race, like panicking. Pump the brakes on every dang team, man. Pump the brakes. Calm down.
Those players not out there tackling well, bro. That's not his fault. They're not out there tackling. That's not his fault right there.
Because
it's not.
Issue. Now, penalties, that's a different thing. They're getting penalties and holding and
that's a whole different situation.
That's coaching, right but that's not coaching. Tackling, that's not a coaching issue. That's actually a player issue.
Yeah, tackling is not a coaching issue. It is a talent issue. If you're not, it's an execution. It's an execution issue.
I mean,
the coaches can do so much to tell you how to tackle below the waist or at the yeah. But if you're not doing it well, that's not on the coaching. That's on you executing. If you're not executing well, are you really that good? Are you really good? No.
Absolutely. Because you really think about it, because like from what we saw it again, like so far, we can definitely say, not just from week 1, but let's look at last year. I think what his defensive scheme is more, I feel like he's better with the pass defense than anything else, which is crazy.
Yeah, to me, his defense is more pass oriented, but he didn't have the players to run that.
And Jerry, that's and that's another good point too. If you can't execute,
has to do with practice. And the thing is, I bet you they beefed up the practices last week.
I'm pretty sure.
They beefed up the practices, the schedule.
And this is why I think a lot of not and kind of divert to Nick. And this is going into Nick Sirianni. This is why I feel like Nick Sirianni has been really well liked because he doesn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah, and can I say something? His press conferences are not as meme worthy as last year. Because last year he did like the whole watering the plants and the soil and the plants
all this other bullshit.
And then ever since that we were winning. Like what? Ever since that soil plant analogy thing, we were winning. Like what?
Like I think like 5 out of less, or like 7 out of our last 8. But that's another good point too. You know, they should have kept the starters in longer in the preseason, kind of to get themselves.
Yeah. The whole keeping the starters in for like a game, only a game in the preseason, the final 2 games are the backups. Like no, play this like
because I think that's where I feel like that's where you saw some of the flaws because like the lack of stars playing in the preseason because like every few series like say after 2 snaps you'll see the backups come in. It's like we saw last year, like we seen like stars playing like 4 or 5 type of snaps. And
literally every single game had the starters in maybe a snap, a quarter, or the whole game. This year it was 1 game, and then the backups played the rest of the way.
I mean, I think the offense is solid. The offense is good. It's no problem. I think y'all gonna better score. It just you gotta hope this defense even be better. This defense, no reason they should be in the top 15 or the top 20, or it's gonna be a long season. If they're in the top 20 or top 15, then it's a long season. This defense good enough to be top 10. This defense is very good enough to be top 10.
I mean, the fact we made it all those moves, there should be no excuses on the defense either. Like I know we all say there should be like no excuse for Jalen Hurts, but you got to remember too. There's two sides of the game of football. There you got the offensive side and the defense. If you don't have a good defense, we've seen a lot of teams really struggle with that because look at Minnesota. Last couple of years been horrendously bad on defense, but they have a decent offense to rectify that. A lot of teams.
But the problem is they have a quarterback that's just all right. He's not good. He's not bad. He's just okay.
Like he's like,
and that's not good.
And not to mention, like he does. And we all know the track record too. He doesn't do well in prime time as well.
Yeah, but to me, the whole track record thing is kind of nonsense.
It's just like, but I mean, that's true as well. But I mean, there should really not be any excuses whatsoever because on paper we have top 10 defense. I mean, you got Slay, Bradbury, shit. You brought in
Kaiser White for the linebackers.
That's who I'm thinking of. Kaiser White.
You drafted a lineman who was a beast in preseason, and you barely started in week 1 in
But you really think
Jordan Davis. And then you drafted Nakobe Dean, who can stop the run. He barely played last week,
which hurt
us.
And that's another thing too. Like even when Jordan Davis was on the field, the running game was non-existent for the Lions in certain snaps. Like the running game, because this is the thing this is why with Georgia,
he gets off the block very quickly, and he can get to the runner. He can get to the running back.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, with Nakobe Dean in there too, it's going to be even more dangerous because he can plug the hole.
It's the same with Kaiser White. Kaiser was another guy you can use in that type of situation because we see what this kid can do. You know, I mean, he's a sideline because, you know, let's be real. We don't have it's been a while since we even had a decent sideline to sideline kind of linebacker. But the fact we can have at least 3 guys that can do that, that's like you got a recipe for success right there to go along with the two. With trying to think who was the safety that we brought. I know we got rid of Tart, but yeah, I mean it's just
Gardner Johnson.
Gardner Johnson. And that's another thing to try to and the fact that and I thought he actually looked pretty good so far in his Eagles debut, though. I mean, minus the penalties, but
the penalties hurt him a little bit, but he was pretty good. And the thing is, the safeties are good. Cornerbacks are good. The linebackers are pretty good. But the problem is the run defense without having Jordan Davis on the field.
Yeah, you can definitely. Bad. Yo, what up, Mike?
Wait, what was that comment say?
That's
sleep panel for the Raiders.
Ew. Yikes.
When Davis was in the running back only gained 2.7 yards per carry without 10 yards per carry. Yeah.
Yeah, the numbers show for itself, like how impactful Jordan Davis can be.
It went from 10 point yards per carry
to almost under 3.
To under 3, 2 yards per carry.
Like it's
Jordan Davis in the game. Check out who replaced him in regular season? Sayamalu?
No, Sayamalu is on the offense. It's on the O line.
Who's on his position?
I mean, you also have Fletcher Cox.
Oh yeah, Sayamalu's on the other. Yeah. I mean, you have Cox, but Cox is getting up there in age.
But you gotta
and his defense took a hit.
Yeah, I mean, Lyman.
I feel like he should be the backup now to Jordan Davis.
Because I feel like, and I think we said this in the last episode too, that Davis, the reason why we got Davis is because Cox is on his last legs. Cam Jurgens is another guy that's going to replace Kelsey by this all said and done. I mean, Dickerson, we all know what this kid's capable of. I mean, dude's good enough to be on that O line. Maybe it could be a replacement to Johnson if he decides to hang it up. You know, I mean, like we have some of these rookies that are being mentored by some of the guys like, and that's a very good point. We've seen teams with the blitz type of scheme and they hide it really well. A lot of times.
Yeah, I think the only problem that they do struggle with is trying to make it not blatantly obvious that they're blitzing.
Yeah.
They don't hide it too well. But if they hide it well enough and it doesn't look like they're blitzing, fans are going to complain, oh, why aren't they blitzing?
And we were the lowest blitz. And we were the lowest blitzing team last year, percentage-wise.
Yeah, we didn't blitz at all last year.
And Ganon's got to realize, too, like in order to beat Minnesota, you have to blitz. And And don't blitz it all the time, but in certain situations where that's another thing too. That his head. This is why I put Gannon on the grill because of that comment right there. He let his foot off the gas.
Gannon said he let off the gas
during
the third quarter. Here's the thing: at least the guy held himself accountable for that.
That is true, but
he held himself accountable, and he said, "I messed up in that third quarter. I let up. I let them come back because in that first half, the pass defense was good.
It was great.
The run defense was, really, really, really freaking great. But the run defense was bad. The run defense was still bad in that third quarter, but the pass defense was kind of third, fourth quarter. But I was chalking it up as, they're playing up tempo. They're not used to up tempo, and then Gannon said, I let up. I respect Gannon for taking accountability instead of just going, we could have played better. We got outcoached.
And the fact that
I've heard that plenty of times from coaches who don't take accountability.
And a lot of times, you see nowadays coaches just deflect the blame onto somebody else. But the fact that Gannon realized too, is like, it had the balls, it's like, you know what? Because let's be real,
I messed up.
When you coach in Philly, when you fuck up, we're going to let you hear about it.
Yeah, and the thing is, he's telling us they're
exactly
right. The fans are right. I messed up in that third quarter.
Because you really think about the score.
If you do that though, and take accountability and say that we're right, you let up in that third quarter.
And
respect, Danny. Respect.
And then if he comes out and improves the next week, then I think overall this team can say, if he really didn't, let's say hypothetically didn't let up off the gas in the third, I think the score would have been
we could have blown him out in that third quarter. After three quarters, maybe four.
I think we're all saying that the Lions are going to be good.
Listen, their coaching staff, stellar. Their players, they want to play for them. They're going to be a good team.
Oh, absolutely. They showed how fraudulent the Commanders truly are.
Yeah, I mean, they have Carson Wentz.
Well, I mean,
guy's a 1-year wonder. Or 2-year wonder, mind you.
Well, technically, he's more of a 1-year wonder because that 2017 year has always been only great year.
2016 is on par with what he is now.
Yeah, this is what this is.
But after 2017, he kind of
pretty much is.
He is a one-hit wonder. But back to Gannon though. He reminded me of what Sirianni did last year after we went 2-5.
Oh, absolutely.
In his press conference, he says, "Look, we have to run the ball more. The fans are right.
You can't be
Let me run this ball."
And ever since then, we've been just run. We just set historical records. I don't think
we went from 2-5 to 9-8.
Like, who would have guessed that the Eagles would finish above 500 in the first year?
I chalked up last year going into this as a rebuild year. After we went 2-5, we're just rebuilding. We'll be back. I think we'll be back in maybe like a few years. Nope. Ran the table. The rest of the way.
So the
real quick, what time does the game start? Because my TV says 8:00 and Siri and Google says 8:30. Can you please 8:30?
Yeah, it's an 8:30 because
the right one.
Yeah, because
8:00. It says 8:00, but the reason why it says 8:00 is they do the pregame show and they tie it into Monday Night Football.
Pretty much. But
so usually primetime games start around like 8:25, 8 to 8:30. So Siri and Google's right.
Yeah, yes. And that's another thing too. It's just like we're seeing now. I don't think Gannon's a bad defensive corner by any stretch of means, but I think there's a lot he can. He's got to learn. He's got to tweak some.
He's got to tweak some things.
I think he'd be an above-average defensive coordinator.
But you know what? He definitely improved after from last year.
Oh, absolutely.
The pass defense was bad last year.
Oh,
this year, pretty good. They're not great, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, they're okay. They're okay. They're okay pass defense.
Yeah. The running defense, he's got to tweak some things. He's got to be better, and he's got to not let off the gas like he said in that third quarter last week. But I admire him for taking accountability, saying, look, I let off the gas. Yeah. I let off the gas in that third quarter. I shouldn't have let off the gas. I should have kept on being aggressive, putting my foot on the pedal, and just going. But
Exactly.
but I love that he took accountability from last year.
Because it's like coaches nowadays, they don't know what the word accountability truly is nowadays.
Not even the players. Not even the players. They're always finger pointing. Oh, this
But the
guy was
fact-
terrible. And they cause rift. And
the fact
doing
that-
hold on. And doing that causes a rift between coaches and the team,
it's
or the team
a
and
recipe.
the teammates. And it's a recipe for disaster.
And this also ties into last year too. You had Sirianni admit his accountability last year. Now you're seeing Jonathan Gannon coming out and say, "Look, I fucked up. You know, I should have kept the foot on the gas, but like you said, should have kept the foot on the throat and actually ran them into the ground."
Like, look, I screwed up. I should have kept my foot on the pedal. Let me be better next week. And if it shows tonight, I'm gonna be so happy again. I'll be like, you know what? You're doing good. You're doing good right now.
I think there's potential he could be a decent. He's not gonna be a great defense coordinator, but I think he's like that mid tier, an above average defensive coordinator because remember last year he didn't have any pieces to work with other than Darius Slay. Because think about it, our defense was good.
He had Darius Slay.
You had Marcus
a scrub cornerback on the other side and scrub linebackers. He had a good line, and he should have blitzed more, yes, but the pass defense was terrible. Other than Slay, Slay was the number one. I think wasn't Slay the number one cornerback in the league last year?
He was.
So if he has the guy that's the number one cornerback in the league, and a bunch of scrubs, and fans needed to calm down last year. Oh, fire Jonathan Gannon. He's terrible.
That's not his fault. Like he did what he could.
First off, the GM should have went after last year because he didn't get linebackers. He didn't fix that defense. Yes, he fixed the offense, but that's all he did. This year, he fixed everything from linebackers, getting a second quality cornerback.
Yeah, James Bradbury. Absolutely. He's got all the pieces he needs to put a good.
On paper, we've got a top 5, top 10 defense.
It's just all about how you execute it. It comes down to execution. Now, let's say, because and Dante said it best too. If the players can't execute, that's not. The coach can do so much as a coach.
That's the thing for tackling. The coach can only do so much for tackling. But if you don't listen to the guy, and your tackling is terrible, that's on you. That's on coaching. That's on you.
Absolutely. But really, also looking at it too, is that I think I think like we said, Jason Gannon does have his flaws, but if he can tweak them and turns it into his strengths, I think overall, I don't know. It's just like Gannon at times is a 50-50 kind of defensive coordinator, but when we see what he can do with the kind of defense that, let's be real, Eddie, you got to give a lot of to get credit to Howie Roseman put a better defense together.
And the thing is, he built the team better than he did 2017. 2017, he went over the cap, and we peaked. This time, we built through the draft some positions like linebacker. We built through the draft, and we also got quality veterans for cheap.
And the fact he did the unthinkable and pulling off a trade with Dallas. So Dallas, thank you for that. So we got the players that we both wanted. So it was a win for him for both of us. I know as crazy as it sounds, but the fact that it also pissed off the Giants fans, which is also makes me happy. But
the thing is, what made me laugh about that draft when we got Devontae Smith and they got the guy that they wanted, we basically tag teamed.
Pretty much.
Even though the Giants together, it was awesome. But it was like Philly and Dallas just aligned themselves together just to beat up on Dallas and Washington. It's awesome.
You mean the Giants and Washington? Because
Giants and Washington. We just I don't know why I said Dallas.
But really think about it. Devontae Smith had a good year. And I love Michael Parsons, even though I'm not a huge Penn State.
Micah Parsons a beast at linebacker.
not just linebacker. Like, this is why, I have to give you credit. As crazy as it sounds, I want to give a lot of credit to Dan Quinn, but the fact that this dude can be a utility kind of player in Michael Parsons, god damn, that kid's going to be that's scary out of Michael Parsons. Because
the only problem that I have with Dallas is Trayvon. The only problem that I have with Dallas is defense is Trayvon Diggs.
But
yes, he can get you picks, quality picks, but he needs to stop burning and getting burned.
I mean,
if they want to be better on defense. But back to the Eagles.
It's just like we actually kind of followed the path like we've seen these other teams do, try to build through the draft, get veterans for cheap instead of except for the Rams, but the Rams is the only exception where
the Rams are in LA, so they have a lot of money to work with, even if they burn through. Even
though so far for the first 2 weeks, they kind of struggled. That should tell you, I mean, that's where we're putting all your eggs in one basket. This all.
You know what? Never mind, because it kind of reminds me of us.
Exactly. Because remember,
all our eggs in one basket. We overspent on the cap, and
we struggled in 2018. We struggled in 2018, but still made the playoffs.
We were treading water in 2018, 2019. We were treading water in 2020. We just plummeted.
Man, I mean, it was so bad. Now, as crazy as it sounds, because 2020 reminded me when the Eagles went 4-12 under Andy Reid. A lot of people don't remember how bad that year was. Oh God. That was so horrible.
Here's the thing: we won the first 3 weeks, and then we didn't win again until week 11, week 12.
Yeah, towards the end of the year.
Towards the end of the year, I think the next time we won was I think December.
Yeah, it was
the next time we won.
And I remember like it's yesterday that the entire fan base wanted Andy fired after that because of
he lost his step in Philly. It was his time to go. We overstayed his welcome. It was his time to go. Yeah, we wanted Andy fired,
but I mean, it was for the right reasons.
It was for the right reasons. He overstayed his welcome. The players were tired of him. The fans were tired of him. He was regressing. He was regressing as a coach in Philly. But it still pains me. After he left, he wins a championship for another team.
But
we had already won a championship, so it wasn't as painful.
But we're happy for him to he finally gets the ring after being a coach for so long and not. I mean, let's be honest.
He already had a ring, but not as head coach.
I forgot about that. He was also part of Green Bay. I forgot he was part.
Was he a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator?
I think it was one of the assistants for Green Bay. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, he was. It was 95 when they won the championship, and Andy Reid was there. But yeah, you have that 4-12 season was just terrible.
Yeah, he has 2 Super Bowl rings, obviously with Kansas City and also one with Green Bay as an assistant.
But one as a full-time head coach for Kansas City. And I get what you're saying as a full-time head coach. He hasn't won one in I don't know how many years, at all. But
and that's the thing too.
Other than that, right?
It's just
that 4-11-1. That 4-11-1 season. Oh my God, dude.
And it's crazy. As crazy as it sounds, the next year, the Bengals for some reason turned their ship around. I mean, and
then they turned the ship back around again, and they're terrible again.
It's just a lot of it kind of thinks this will ties into it's just what Howie has done. I mean, the fact that not this draft, but the year prior, the fact that Howie wants to go, and this also ties into accountability. You got to give a lot of props to Howie, who owned up to his mistakes. He actually
Howie said flat out, I should have picked Justin Jefferson over
exactly,
and he said that himself, and I was happy he did.
So you have 3 people in the organization, held themselves accountable for the mistakes that they made. You know, I mean, well, not just mistakes, but you know where the problem lies. And I think, you know, with Sirianni, despite all that flower bullshit or whatever the fuck he was smoking that
The
day,
flower pot and the soil and
it's
the
like
watering
fertilizer.
the
It's like,
plant. I'm like,
what are you going on about? But for the fact that that worked, and it's just like
ever since the flower pot press conference, we
whatever
were
it
like
was.
undefeated for a while, and then we lost one more game, and that was it. And that was the game that we sat our starters. That was it. I'm like,
Pretty much.
after the flower pot thing,
That's just like what sense? It really didn't really make that much sense. But
I looked at it at the end of the season. I'm like, wait, that flower pot thing worked?
Apparently so. But and that's another thing too. Like we're seeing teams, and even with the Eagles too. You know, nowadays, or especially with since we're kind of talking about Howie, and let's be real, the fact that we vilified this man for years to fucking fix this team.
We vilified him since 2018, 2019.
Yeah, it's been
vilified him.
But the fact
I vilified him after we cut cap, and we didn't compensate for the cut cap.
Oh yeah, I think we all did it that year. I think we all.
And I had, in a way, I was thinking, oh, repeat. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking,
no, long term,
cap, but we didn't vilify anything. We didn't rectify anything. So we're going to struggle.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's hard. Even in football, it's hard to repeat a Super Bowl chance. Well, then again, even unless you're New England,
that's the Patriots. Not for the Patriots, apparently.
Well, apparently, once you lose Brady, I mean, you pretty much went down the goddamn toilet. But that's a whole different situation. And that's another thing too. Like even with the Eagles too. I mean, we actually struggled. I mean, I think after we traded McNabb, I think we kind of struggled. We did struggle a little bit with that after we let McNabb. I think the Walker we traded.
Because we traded him 2010.
I think 2010 to Washington.
The summer of 2010 is when we it was like May of 2010 that we got rid of him.
Yeah.
And I remember being so angry about it. I'm like, we got rid of McNabb. He was our franchise quarterback. And then we had to deal with Cobb for I think the first week.
God, Kevin Cobb. That's the one I want to tend to forget. Holy crap. If I'm not mistaken, this is also when we brought in Michael Vick, too, if I'm not mistaken, that exact same year.
He gets hurt. Michael Vick steps in. We did amazing the rest of the way. Really good the rest of the way. We went 10-6, made it to a wild card. Yeah, we lost, but we made it.
Yeah.
It was great.
And that's the thing, too. It's just like, what Howie's done, like you said, he with the Devontae Smith pick, which for me, I feel like that was one way to rectify that Justin Jefferson mistake, because we know what Devontae Smith is capable of. If you not watched his tape at Alabama, I mean, it's self-explanatory.
And the accolades speak for itself. For one, he played for Alabama under Chris Saban. Chris Saban is going to be, coaching him to being great. He has a track record of people in the league who played for Alabama who were great.
I mean, not to mention this too, and Devontae Smith was the first time, a wide receiver has won the Heisman in over 3 decades. So that's another thing in itself.
You have a Heisman.
Usually,
you have a guy who had a 1,000-yard season at Alabama,
and also had a 1,000-yard season in his rookie year. This is why I feel like if we even had, let's just say hypothetically we had Smith and Jefferson. Good God, that's a scary duo. But
I think we could have been even better last year if we had Jefferson and we wouldn't even had to trade for AJ Brown.
You know what? That's a very good point. But I mean, AJ Brown. I mean, look, the fact we pulled the fucking AJ Brown for pennies on the dollar, I'm happy with that. And
honestly, I'm happy that we already have Jalen Hurts to AJ Brown bomb down the field.
Oh God, that was great.
That was awesome. I was ready for that, and we got that week 1, and I was happy.
And that's the thing to this. You also see the connection. Yes, I know a lot of other players were not around, quote unquote disappeared, but even though the thing is, they spent so much time building that relationship in the locker room. They're 2 peas in a pod, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They're basically like us, best friends with good chemistry.
and not so much from what they heard to say they actually went to high school together, which obviously doesn't make goddamn sense.
It does, man. You know,
but
and now I'm balling with an old friend from high school in the league.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like how we, for those who have not followed Eagles football long as we've been alive, the last since 2018, 2019, like we said, we vilified this man, to get help with this team. And, I think remember at one point, the hashtag Fire Howie became a huge thing. Like that became
after 2020, after 2020, everybody, including me, was on the Fire Howie train. Everybody. And then he did the whole shocking draft pick at Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
That completely vanished it.
And not to mention
no more Howie. No more Fire Howie.
And because I feel this is like the point we were saying, like the Devontae Smith pick was a way to rectify, the Justin Jefferson miss, and the fact that Howie had the balls to say, like, I fucked up on the Justin Jefferson pick.
He was like, I messed up. I screwed up. I knew I should have taken. He's like, I tried to be crafty with a sleeper flash in a pan type pick that failed. Here's the hint for Howie that he should have realized he messed up. TCU.
Not one of the greatest football schools that
No.
I mean, the only and as crazy as it sounds, the only sport that's TCU is good in that is their baseball program. They have a decent baseball program, which is better than their football program. It's like, and not to mention Jalen.
That holds the same merit as Howie trying to draft a damn wide receiver from Vanderbilt.
Yeah, Vanderbilt's a baseball powerhouse.
They're a baseball school. But when you're trying to draft a guy from TCU who's notoriously bad at football,
and you could definitely see it at a time as TCU, like the quarterback situation was not great.
Here's the thing: you saw on the game tape,
like
all Rager had in college was his speed. He has no hands.
I mean, shit. We saw for the last 2 years, like goddamn, like the dude's got bricks for hands.
He can get downfield, but he has no hands.
Like literally, if he's like wide open,
he holds the same merit as a running back.
Because I'm thinking too, it's just like, if
our running backs had better hands than him.
Like he's a running back playing wide receiver. That's basically what we're saying.
Yeah,
it's like, but the fact that and give it credit. I mean, the fact even Howie this past offseason, the fact he fleeced the Saints not once but twice. Like, what GM in the right mind decides to fleece a team like
the man fleeced them? Let me give you pennies. Let me give you peanuts for two of your best players.
For Sidney Gardner-Johnson, and then we get those two exact same draft picks back when we traded Rager to the Vikings, which is the most ironic thing you can do.
The funny thing is, those same positions in the draft pick,
we got those back. So basically, we got exactly like he basically just like we got Gardner Johnson for free, basically. And this is why
it was basically like watching a WWE pay-per-view on an illegal site. You're not paying nothing but for quality.
But it's like, in the fact that
it's basically renting a movie from like a video store and not giving it back.
Oh God, don't bring that up because man, that makes us most of us feel old. But and that's in this too, and the fact that our defense was okay, but wasn't the greatest. But the fact that last year we had a good defense, but the fact he decided to build upon it, train for Kaiser White, even though Chargers for some reason, with their linebackers has been pretty good, but missing Kaiser White really I think has took a bit of a chunk out of the chart taken away from the Chargers. And the fact them
getting rid of Kaiser White was a bad move. Good move for us, but a bad move for them.
Yeah, exactly. But not just that,
And the thing is, what makes me laugh is they lost because of defensive ineptitude.
I mean,
And in the very first play of the Eagles, Kaiser White gets a pick. No, was it Kaiser White? No, it wasn't Kaiser.
no.
No, it wasn't Kaiser. I don't know why I keep saying Kaiser White got a pick. No. Kaiser White played well week 1. And the Chargers couldn't do nothing on defense.
No, I mean, because not just that too, not just adding Kaiser White, retain, TJ Edwards for cheap on a 1-year extension. The
Chargers were good the first half on defense, but the second half they were just.
It shows. I mean, there's some players that once they go, you can definitely see the impact. It's no longer there. Now we and a lot of times, like teams like us, we know what Kaiser is capable of. Because we've seen other Eagles content creators really break down this kid's a sideline kind of linebacker. When it comes to blitzing, this kid can hit you hard for a guy who like 6 foot 6'1". I think 200, almost like somebody like 200 some odd pounds, like not even 220, and he can hit you like a freight train. That is tough. That is tough.
The thing is, you don't necessarily have to have the size. Like when it comes to playing hard-hitting linebacker, all you got to do is run at a player and hit him.
And that's another thing too. We can tie that to Nakobe D, because remember, people say, "Oh, Nakobe D's going to be undersized."
He's too small. He can't hit. Did you not see this guy in the preseason?
And the national championship?
In the national championship for Georgia, this man can hit.
And Georgia knows how to pump out talent too. I mean,
oh my gosh, Georgia is like,
and Georgia has especially the last couple of years, or especially this past draft, had 5 of their players from the national championship team get drafted. We wound up taking 2. Something I feel like that how we realized, we know what Jordan Dable's capable of. Yes, I know a lot of people nitpick his motor to be great, but I would disagree, because Jordan Davis, for me, the problem that I have with him is his endurance. Endurance, yeah, he does get tired out a bit too easily. But if he can work on his endurance, he could be one of the best linemen in the game. If you have not seen this kid's 40 yards dash time, a 4.78 at 6'6", 330 pounds. I'm sorry, but
fast for a guy who's big like that, who's built like that. That's fast.
What in reality do you remember seeing linemen run a force?
This dude in the preseason, right? Or no, this is from training camp.
No, it was preseason. Yeah, week 1, he gets triple teamed and beats the triple team.
No. I'm not talking about the triple team, Rob. In training camp, this man did a blindside move. What? He started carrying the dang lineman all the way down the field.
It's like this kid. Yes, we know that linemen at times have endurance issues, but we've seen over time they work on that. Like Tyler said, if he could work on those,
he's got a young career, so they can work with him with that.
Absolutely, and I think he's also got Fletcher Cox by his side. So I mean, he's another guy that
he can learn from those guys.
Absolutely, and let's be real, the dude has all pro, be a Pro Bowl type of talent with Fletcher Cox.
I see him getting all pro, and I see him getting a Pro Bowl in the future. I see it.
It's like the sky's the limit, not just for us, but we've seen other rookies. We have seen sky's the limit. Some probably better than others, but the fact that Howie this year was more focused on defense. We get a couple offensive pieces here and there, but Howie already knew how good our offense can be, our O-line. But the fact that he started to stack up on defensive pieces throughout this draft should tell you, a lot of times, and they also, I think a lot of teams are going by the saying, defense wins championships. And I think that's where I feel like Howie has done a really good job the last couple of years.
Yes.
Because
I agree.
And that's another thing too, because I think all of us can agree this is the make or break it year for Jalen Hurts. That's a given, entering this year.
Yeah, it was given when he got that 1-year contract, compared to getting maybe another extension for like 7-8 years. He got a year.
Because
and Howie Roseman, and with that contract, Howie said, play better, stop running the ball, stand there and look at your reads. What do you have open? And if you're missing a guy down the field and you're just running the ball because you see open space, come on.
Or it really
gotta be better. You've got to be better. But also, I don't think Howie Roseman really helped him that much because the offensive line took a hit last week.
Oh yeah, I mean, you really can't blame. Jalen Hurts could have done what he could, especially and
But here's the thing. He really wanted to be better. He really wanted to throw the ball down the field because if he didn't want to, he wouldn't have thrown that bomb down the field.
50+ year. And it's like, yeah, deep ball. And that was one of the most accurate deep balls that we've seen him throw in the regular season.
He threw it right. He threw it right into AJ Brown's breadbasket.
Exactly. You can't place, and the fact that even though I think that might be Jeff Okudah we know I like what Jeff Okudah brings, but man, that kid got burnt by AJ Brown.
He was burnt toast. To me, he wasn't even burnt toast. He was charred toast.
Well, I mean,
the bread disintegrated.
Pretty much. But I think overall, that's another thing too. Even you got to give it a lot of times to Detroit. I think their defense actually played pretty decently against us.
Their defense stepped it up a bit. Their offense stepped it up a bit. And I loved the coaching scheme in that second half. We're going to tire out the defense with up tempo. And they did.
And that's another, and that's why a lot of times some head coaches sometimes have a hard time adapting, depending on if it's the first half or the second half. We've seen it because, like the first half, we pretty much ran them into the ground. But as soon as coming out of that second half, Dan Campbell said, "Okay, we're going to have to find something that's different." Like I said, the no huddle offense that wore us out for most of the second half. But where our specialty came in, which a lot of times,
the thing is, the start of the third quarter, they didn't really do up tempo. I think it was like in the fourth is when they
started out of the fourth.
Yeah, in the fourth is when they started to do that, and that's why when it was like 38-20 something, I was like, all right, whatever. But then they did the up tempo, and then the game ended at 38-35.
But
yeah, I was mad. But then I looked at the highlights. I'm like, that really wasn't our fault.
No.
Because that was just the offensive scheme. The no huddle offense is what got us.
And we've seen teams beat a lot of other teams because of that. Because remember,
even teams with great defenses, they do that. Because the defense isn't ready for it.
No, because it's like the way I could describe it, from being a baseball fan, it's being quick pitch. You're not going to be ready for it. It's the way I could describe a no huddle offense. And number two,
it's basically getting quick pitched by the closer,
pretty much, because you're not
completely whiffing on every pitch.
Exactly,
that's basically what happened to us.
And the fact that and give the credit to Dan Campbell too, for adapting to that, and knowing the situation that he was in.
He must have watched last week's game with the Eagles. They're like, look, they're going to try to no huddle us and try to drive us into the ground.
Oh, yeah.
Let's beef up the defense. Let's be ready. And I feel like that's what Cannon needs to do. We don't know if this team is going to go no huddle offense. So let's prepare for every single scenario that could be thrown at us. I feel like that's what Cannon needs to do with that defense.
And it definitely showed, too, against Washington, too. Washington, we don't know that Washington is not great. I think the Lions pretty much fed on that, knowing that not having Chase Young. I think he's one of the most underrated defensive ends when healthy. But the fact that he's on the PUP list really kind of takes a little bit of a hit on that Washington defense. And you saw, the score was 12 or 15-0, and it just always entering into the second quarter.
And the thing is, it doesn't help when you don't have an offense. Offense is for 1 point in that game, not a single point, and they were blown out 22-0.
Well, yeah, it's like I said. Not just week 2 has, and not just, you thought all the games were pretty great in week 2, but we got like we said, we got 2 more primetime games to end week 2, all hopefully with a bang. Because
and honestly, week 2 has been just as crazy as week 1. It's been just as unpredictable as week 1, which I'm shocked about.
And now kind of really figuring out, because now, like I said, look, I think Minnesota's going to really do make a push in the NFC North. It's crazy.
I feel like they're not good to be at the NFC North. I feel like they're a wildcard team. They're not like the best team ever. I feel like at best they're a wildcard team, and at worst they're maybe 7-10 to 8-9, maybe.
But
they have a quarterback, like I said, who's just okay.
I would rather have, because let's be real. Minnesota really hasn't really had a decent quarterbacks. Let's be real. From what I remember, Dante Culpepper.
I was about to say that Dante Culpepper was the most. I wouldn't say that, because Teddy Bridgewater was actually really good.
Teddy Bridgewater was actually pretty decent for them. I actually won
and then thank God that man got hurt, because we got rid of trash Sam Bradford.
God. But looking at, and this also ties into the Minnesota thing too. The fact, and Minnesota, and we've seen NFC North teams, when they play good, they play bad, or actually play downright ugly. And we saw a tremendous amount of flaw, and not just for the, we know what flaws Detroit can fix. I think Detroit knows how to fix some of the flaws that they have. But what the hell? Hey, this also ties into, I know this is kind of still going to prime time, but what the hell is going on with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay? Because for some reason, Aaron Rodgers is not playing like himself, what we know Aaron Rodgers can be.
The thing is, Aaron Rodgers played poorly in that first half, it seemed like, or that first quarter. He kind of woke up in that second quarter, third, fourth quarter. He played very well after that. It was that first quarter he still had rust that he had to get off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know what happened to him week 1. I don't know what's up with the Packers week 1 period, because last year they had a bad week 1 and they ran the table. It's just week 1 has just been an issue for him lately. Did he not get enough practice in training camp? Did he not have enough practice in preseason? What's going on?
And, I've talked to some Packers fans. They also said that he hates the wide receiver core that he has. What are you supposed to do? You let Devontae Adams walk in free agency. That's on you for not retaining Devontae.
That's the thing. Devontae Adams, losing him took a hit. But for him to go out and say, I don't like my receivers, that's bad. That's bad. Not because the wide receivers are bad. It's because now you just ruined your own team relationship.
Because as a fair, you're supposed to, and most of they're rookies. You're supposed to help these guys grow.
It's because the guy is so petty that they drafted a quarterback behind him.
Yeah, it's like
you didn't have a quality second string and third string quarterback.
Yeah,
you need a quality guy to back you up. But the problem is, he's not even quality.
No, it's just but I wonder, because, with all the struggles that so far, what we've seen in, let's be real, the first 2 weeks for Aaron Rodgers, I don't really say it's cause for concern, but if it's going to, say, go after week 3, week 4, week 5 consistently, then you have to realize too, is Aaron Rodgers ready to hang it up? Because I don't think he's, look, the dude's only 38. There's so much you can do as you get older. And, as Eagles fans, we know we have guys that are already up in their age. Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham.
But a lot of those guys don't lose their talent.
No. It's
even when they're older, they don't lose their talent. Did Peyton Manning ever lose his talent? Slightly, yes. Tom lose his talent and he's 40 something? No. So you can't make it about age for some cases. Yeah, most cases, yes. Some cases, no. Brandon Graham hasn't lost a step.
And that's one thing too.
Layton Johnson didn't lose a step.
No.
Aaron Rodgers, he had a bad week 1, but he hasn't lost a step. He did play pretty well against the Bears last week.
I mean, that's the Bears we're
last
talking.
night. And yes, it's the Bears we're talking about, but still.
But I feel like, and not just the losing a step, but I feel like as you get older, your reaction time is not as in what it used to be. You know, I mean, a lot of times we've seen football players, their reaction time is somewhat slow. You know, I mean, some actually have better reaction time as they get older, but I mean, we've seen players, you know, that's the last kind of, you know, some football talks, and we pretty much gave you everything to kind of, you know, and like all the Eagles stuff and whatnot. But I think as football players get older, we've seen some, not all, when the reaction time is, I mean, perfect example is Jason Peters. I mean, well, we don't really know what we're going into Jason Peters, but we know the dude that is almost 40, his reaction time, not the best. And a lot of times,
I get as a defensive player like that. If you're playing linebacker, yeah, you're gonna take it older because your legs are not as, you know, limber as they were.
Not just defensively, but think about running backs. You know, look what happened to Todd Gurley when we found out he had arthritis in his knee. Pretty much kicked him out of the league for, I don't know, like 4 years now at this point. Or how long?
He's back in the league, but he's only getting like 22 yards in a game.
Like I should tell you, like running backs, like, and this is a lot of times it shows like, you know, running backs are very expendable because I think before they reach the age of 30, running backs tend to break down. Like it's like they're, and you know, we've seen.
I think the problem is that, for one, the combination of elusiveness and power running kills teams and kills running backs.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you think about it, because I mean, perfect example is Zeke Elliott. Yes, I know Zeke Elliott still has a lot left, but when it comes to it, the elusiveness and, you know, the power, the explosiveness is no longer there. But do I still think he's a bad running back? Absolutely not. Because I feel like the way where Zeke is right now as a running back, I know this is kind of off not Eagles topic, but the way I see Zeke, he's more of a third down bruiser back, because that's where I see it. Because I think he's where he's transitioned. Because you got Tony Pollard, who's pretty much that elusive back, you know, kind of like a Boston Scott or Darren Sproul, like, you know, those kind of elusive backs. A lot of times are hard to fucking tackle. I mean, shit. I mean, well, unless you're like Boston, but that's besides the point. But you kind of understand where I'm going with this. Because like there's some running backs that, yes, you may not have the explosive as you once was, but if you can, you know, find another way to, you know, transition yourself, say, you know, like Zeke Elliott, you know, now it's not like a Tony Pollard back, but he's like, oh God, who can I think of that was a, no, like oh God, what was that one Bruce right with them? Like kind of like a Garrett Blunt kind of running back. I couldn't think of his fucking name because it's like, you know what I mean? Or, you know, it's not as, I don't think, like I said, I don't think Zeke is that bad of a running back, but it's just, you know, he's, you know, running backs, let's be real, don't really last long. I mean, you know, I mean, there's some that, you know, if it's an aptitude, we've seen that retire in the primes, you know, a la Barry Sanders, because of fucking Detroit doesn't want to fucking help him. But that's besides the point. But other than that, you know,
let's do a final segment before this game starts.
Absolutely.
Score predictions.
Well, knowing that what Minnesota can bring, I would say, knowing that wrong sport, knowing that the Eagles can at least put up 35 plus points, I would say stick with 35-27. Because when I say 27 is I still think the defense is good enough to hold them to under 30 points. And if, you know, Ganny can fix on that from week 1 and hold them, but if it turns out, say, you know, less than 20, I mean, shit. But I think I feel like between 25 and 27 seems more reasonable, because I think Minnesota, like you said, probably one of the, I think, other best, not saying not one of the best, but one of the better, not minus Green Bay, but one of the other better teams in that NFC North, that they have talent to win games. Don't get me wrong. but I feel like they're not the kind of team that what they. I think from what we remember last year, I think the average just below 20 points a game, if I'm not mistaken, too. And it definitely showed in week 1 against the Packers. They scored 20 points. Well, I think was it 20 or 23, but I still feel like they can be in that range because like say if Minnesota has like I don't know like an Aaron Rodgers type, I think that team could be at least a 30 plus point team offensively. But like you said, having a guy like a Kirk Cousins can give you about 20, 25, maybe 27 a night. But if he can do that to win games, like that's not bad. Like you don't really I say 35, but my final like I said, my prediction is 35-27 goes to the Birds.
I'm going to have to cut that by 1. I'm gonna have to give it 34-27.
Oh,
34. I feel like the Eagles, like you said, can score 30 plus points a night. Also, I don't think Kirk Cousins is bad. It's terrible. He's not the greatest quarterback ever, but I think he will give you maybe 20 plus points.
And if it helps them win games, because let's be real, the NFC North is not because the NFC in its entirety is not the strongest.
The NFC is like incredibly weak this year. Incredibly weak.
Because the AFC. Yes, I know AFC have some weak divisions, but the entire AFC is pretty much run by the West. We know that this past all season, the last couple.
Every single team in the West, AFC West, you can't knock any of those teams out of the playoff race yet. There's like one. I think the Raiders had a bad week. The Chargers had a pretty decent week, but they lost at the end. But I do think that division is too good to name a winner of that. But back to the Eagles and Vikings matchup. I don't see the Eagles losing by a score of worse than what they had last.
Oh yeah,
it was like 35 or
it was a 3-point lead.
3-point lead. I don't see this game going to 3 points.
No,
I don't see it going. And if it does, it does. But like we don't know how the players are going to play tonight. But we hope that it's going to be good enough to where it's 34-27, 35-27. But player MVP of the game, who do you think it's going to be?
Okay, for me, I might have to go defensively. If Gannon can apply a lot of pressure and stop the run defense, I would say give it to Jordan Davis. And there's a couple others too that can be runner-ups for that. Kaiser White, Bradbury, and Slay. Those are my 4. Well, Jordan Davis is obviously going to be the MVP. You got the 3 runner-ups. Those are where I would say defensively that might not make an impact.
Stat line, where do you see Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts, knowing what the kind of quarterback he is, I would say he can go. I say 20 for 32 for about 200, between 200 and say 235, with a couple 2 passing touchdowns and and a rushing touchdown, depending on the situation. He gets that rushing touchdown.
Okay.
I don't because we know like I said, Jalen Hurts is not going to blow you away by any special means. We know this. If he has a decent stat line, I'm okay. That's still a good game for him. We can show the improvements that he's made this past all season. That's another plus out of him. But like I said, 20 for 32 for about 200. Let's say about 230. I think 230 right on the dot. For about for 3 touchdowns, 2 of them are passing, 1 for rushing. But I think and another thing too. I think he might have 60 yards rushing.
I'm gonna have to go with that too because he's gonna run the ball. Let's face it, he's not gonna abandon the run when it comes to him running the ball. But I do see him making some good throws down the field. I will say, like you said, 230, 2 touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown for 60 yards. But my MVP would have to go to AJ Brown.
Okay.
AJ Brown's gonna have maybe 150 yards receiving. One of those touchdowns is gonna be for him.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have a big game. He's gonna have a big game for us.
I mean, shit. I mean, you really can't ask much out of AJ Brown for the fact that what a debut he made, especially wearing Eagles green for the first time.
Yeah, he played very well week 1. I feel like he's going to build off of that week 2.
I think there's going to be a lot of different play call schemes that is going to happen against Minnesota. Because the thing is, for what I'm not going to take. I know the one knock on Minnesota. Their run defense has not, from what we saw in like years past, like their run defense has not been the best. I mean, it's like if let's say, if I'm Shane Steichen, but if you want to start running a football, hey, look, take that opportunity. Try to exploit the weakness. That's something like, let's see, because I'm trying to think here, because say if a team does as great pass defensively, but if their run defense is absolute dog shit, exploit that. That's something I feel like. I think if Steichen can do that, which we all know he's the majority of the play caller. I mean, it's not a bad strategy to do that. But let's say their pass defense is not the greatest either. Exploit that as well, because really think about it, because we have too much good talent to really not fuck up. In other words. So I'll leave it at that.
The thing is, this all rests too not just on Jalen Hurts, the offense, the defense. Offensive line needs to block better.
Oh, absolutely. Because you can't
because week 1 was atrocious. Not even gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we escaped. Yeah, we escaped with a 38-35 win, but
you made Jalen Hurts run for his life.
They made the guy run for his life.
But
we weren't able to see any improvements except for that one deep ball to AJ Brown. That was it.
And we think about too. And also ties to that, he actually stayed in the pocket on that 50-yard bomb, which we know which is one of his biggest weaknesses, was staying in the pocket. Yeah.
And the thing is, he was able to read the defense down the field. And then after that, he was running around trying to find open guys. He was throwing a lot of checkdowns. He was running for a lot. But the problem wasn't him. It was that offensive line. The offensive line can just block
and do what you did
all game.
And I think Jalen Hurts, could have another good game, maybe even better.
Have a really good game. But the thing is, it won't be a good game running. It'll be a good game passing.
Because if you can have that should tell you, that should kind of give you where Jalen Hurts is in his progression. Because yes, Jalen Hurts, don't say he's not stupid by any stretch of the means. Like there are times if he has to run out of bounds to really stop the clock, at times he will do that. A lot of times, if he. And we saw against Detroit, he didn't see any open passes, so he's took it for himself. And there are times it has worked out for the Eagles. We saw,
but the fans are but also this is a knock to the fans.
Oh yeah,
here we go, same old Jalen Hurts, him running the ball. He's not staying in the pocket. He couldn't stay in the pocket. What do you want him to do? Take it. What do you want him to do? Take a sack? Lose yards? Get negative yards?
Yeah, and really think about that. If that was the case, we could have lost that game right then and there to Detroit.
We could have lost if he stayed in the pocket last week.
And also I can say this too. It's the same way what Chicago's dealing with their O-line is atrocious. And this is, and I'm not comparing ourselves to Chicago, but
there was a drive last night where they only moved maybe 2-3 yards, didn't even get out of their own territory, lost.
That's because, what Chicago is. It's just and Goalie knows it too. The Chicago but it's just when you have a star quarterback and your O line can't block. Then again, we all know that Chicago's O line is absolutely dog shit.
But here's the thing, though: Eagles fans expect Jalen to stay in the pocket.
But like you said,
with a piss poor O line. With a poor O-line like that.
You really can't.
You can't sit there and tell me. You can't sit there and tell me that with an O-line like the Eagles had last week, for this man to stay in the pocket
Oh yeah, absolutely.
with a defender in his face,
And
2 seconds away from sacking him, you can't tell me for this guy to stay in the pocket. He has to run out. He has to get
he
yards
has
by
to.
himself because he has no choice. If he wants to keep a play alive and extend a play,
And if
and
it
with a
works,
poor O-line like that, you need a guy who can run out
I mean,
and try to make it.
basically, in other
And
words,
some of those plays he did throw. He
yeah,
threw down the field.
but I mean, absolutely. But I forgot to mention this too. But even though we're towards the end, but we have with everything out of the way, we're at the point of the show. Like we have, this obviously, like I said, the show is going to be brought to you by SeatGeek, and we have a commercial to show you otherwise.
What's going on, everybody? Proud to announce the Spotlight Sports Network are partnered with SeatGeek. Save $20 off your first order for live events, concerts, and sporting events, and more. All you have to do is just insert the promo code Spotlight Sports Network to save today. Again, that's Spotlight Sports Network and save $20.
Man, that feels good. Having a sponsor, man.
Absolutely. But Joey says, let me give you all my prediction. He's having us win 27-24. I think the corners are good enough to keep, obviously, Justin Jefferson under 100 yards. I could definitely see that. I mean,
I think out of all of our predictions, both our predictions aren't even realistic remotely. I think Joey's is realistic, kind of.
I get to,
Dalvin Cook is good. Dalvin Cook with the tackling that we had last week, if that continues, it's going to be hard. But it's going to keep it close, and it's going to keep us honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think also another realistic score prediction I can see is like 30 to 24. I think that's another one I can see. If that turned out to be, say, hypothetically, the score later tonight, which make sure you tune in because me and Tyler will be on the call for that. So you guys do not want to get.
I think the most accurate score would have to be 30-27.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well. I was thinking that in that 30 to 20 plus range.
Yeah.
But I feel like, but I mean, but like we said, we're all out of time today. Like we said,
check us out within the hour at 8:30. We'll be on the call
absolutely
for the Eagles and Vikings 8:30 Monday Night Football game.
Absolutely. But if you also want to, if you want to get your tickets to, we are a proud sponsors by SeatGeek. Make sure you
if you want to go to concerts, if you want to go to musicals, if you want to go to sporting events, anything that requires a ticket, promo code Spotlight Sports Network.
Yeah, that's all.
Has got your back. We got your back. If you want to go to any sporting event, any concert, any event.
Oh, absolutely.
SeatGeek is your friend. We're your friend. Promo code Spotlight Sports Network.
And save your 20%. Yeah, save $20 off.
20% off.
Also,
$20 off.
If you want to try to get your Raider, whatever football team, the link to the Fanatics is down below. We are also proud partners of Fanatics, so you guys do not want to miss out and get all your NFL gear.
Get your hats.
They got everything. But with that being said, this is going to conclude episode 7 of the Eagles Talk podcast. Like Tyler said, keep a lookout later tonight at 8:30, primetime football between the Eagles and Minnesota Vikings. Tomorrow, if you guys like professional wrestling, we got you guys covered on that as well. We got a lot of stuff.
We don't have one stream.
Not two.
We got
three. Even like our late night shows as well. We'll just sit back and shoot the shit. We got you guys covered too. Also, Friday, September 23rd, will be the return of the Sixers Talk podcast. We'll be talk all things Sixers basketball. With basketball coming around the corner, we'll kind of give you our thoughts on that. And then check me out on 705 for some MLB baseball, but with an old school rivalry. I think Tyler knows this better than anybody.
Oh, yeah. Sox versus Yanks, baby.
Now, my question is, to wrap it up, do you think Judge is going to hold the American League all-time home run record? Because he's already sitting at 59.
Yes. He's going to break it. At this rate, he's going to break it.
Yeah,
because I think the
record is 61. 61 by Roger Maris in 1961.
He's breaking it. He's going to break it because we're not even through with September.
No.
Barely through with September. So I feel like he's breaking that record.
But with that being said, we appreciate everybody has come through and kind of give us some questions.
One more thing on Thursday at 9 p.m. The It's Rolling podcast has moved to this channel and this channel alone,
which is now another one. So if you guys like sports or wrestling, we got you covered right here on the Philly Sports Talk podcast and the Spotlight Sports Network as well. Because let's be real, we got you guys. We got a lot of stuff planned for you guys coming up in the upcoming days, and absolutely. But with that being said, we do appreciate everybody who's come through, ask us some questions and stuff like that, kind of give your ideal takes and stuff like that. We greatly appreciate that. But if you guys are new, make sure you smash that like button. Also hit that subscribe to guys who are new, and make sure you stay tuned for me and Tyler for Monday Night Football. But with that out of the way, we'll see you guys in about an hour, 10 minutes from now. Let's go Birds.
Peace, go Birds.